So I've gotten the opportunity to hang out with a couple pro skateboarders, and there's one signifying factor, and it came out yesterday when I showed you the sideboard for the first time. The sideboard is a super complicated multi-directional balance board, right?
Yeah.
And that somewhat pertains to your sport. And most people, they get the feel of it, they try to figure it out, and they try to just be able to stand on it for a little while. But all the skateboarders that I've given it to, before they can even fucking stand on it, they're trying to pull tricks on it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's this thing. I don't even know how to use it yet, but let's see if I can do a trick.
Yeah, let's get rad.
Yeah, let's go immediately to rad, 0 to rad in like an instant, right? You skip all the steps in that. Is that just like, is that part of what makes y'all good? Is just this like, oh, here's this thing. Let me figure out what the fuck the end result of what it's capable is.
I think that might be it. I think it's just like, you just want more. It's just this desire to do more with it. Like, it's on. Like, let's get that take-home feeling. Like, what am I leaving with when I leave here? Am I leaving with this awesome feeling of this trick? I want it. I want the take-home. Take me right there.
Yeah, but sometimes you take home like a fucking fistful of asphalt or a face full of railing or like...
It makes you feel real manly, though. So sometimes that is the take-home. Like, man, I'm so tough.
I don't know. I've seen some they show me some skateboarders just in full fucking, golfer breakdown where they just can't hit a trick, trying it over and over again for hours, crash, and then just full emotional hell.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I do that, but I do it in my head because I know the moment I start yelling and I throw my board, at that second, before the boards even hit the ground, I'm like, I look like such a baby. I look like such a big baby. And I feel so embarrassed about my behavior that I just don't even do it.
Yeah, it makes it worse. Then you almost have to back it up. It's almost like at that point you got to double down, right?
Totally.
You can't just be like, oh man, that was silly.
Well, everybody around you feels awkward too, that you're like freaking out like a big baby at the spot. And
yeah.
most of the places too, it's like a kick out and you're trying to not make that much noise so you don't get kicked out. It's like a schoolyard on the weekend.
Yeah.
So like you spiking your board, it's so loud, freaking out, screaming. There's like mothers running, covering their kids' ears, because you're just over there, just fudging it,
Yeah, that's funny. So let's talk a little bit how you got into this. Obviously, there's something a little fucked up, with you in your head to want to try these tricks. But that had to start kind of early, right? You had to have this drive to just take things and figure out, what you could do with it. And skating was just something you loved, and
that's it.
Is that how it started?
Well, a person skated past my grandmother's house, and I was looking out the bay window and skated past. It was the first time I saw somebody look that rad. And up until that point, I played all the normal backyard sports, and rode bikes, and just like you were saying, tried to get rad all the time. So if it was a bike, I was trying to launch and trying to do rad tricks with my bike. And if it was football, it was like I wanted the ball and I wanted to always score, or I wanted to throw the furthest, or I wanted to kick the furthest. It was like just always more. And it just comes down to being a little brother and wanting to be noticed, really. I mean, if we're honest with each other, it's I wanted to be good. And my brother was older and better and smarter. And so I was like, this is what I'm gonna do.
So did you take up skating then first before he did, or was that something that both y'all did?
It was just me.
Just you.
Just me.
So this was your time to shine.
It was my thing.
It was your thing.
Yeah. So I took up skating after 2 years of asking my mom for a board and her being scared that I was gonna get hurt, and eventually she got it for me, and it was instant love. It was the moment I stepped on it, I was obsessed, and I didn't want to do anything else. And I read all these magazines, and just everything became skateboard. Everything. And it almost did before I even got the board. I was like reading magazines and writing sentences that involved skateboarding on the blackboard at school and stuff. It would always be that. And so probably by third or fourth grade, kids could have already told what I was going to be as a grown-up. Yeah. So, I mean, it's lucky to have found a passion that young.
For sure. I mean, that's a really clear signal. And I think a lot of us even the ones with a lot of potential, minus that really clear signal, about what we might want to do. Or maybe we having multiple signals. Let's say you love skateboarding and basketball and volleyball and martial arts. That was kind of the position that I was in. Like, I had a lot of talent and a lot of aptitude towards many things, but I loved so many things that I got excellent at none of them. I just got pretty damn good at a lot of them. You know what I mean? And
master of none.
Yeah, exactly. And so having that one that's in the clear lead can be a real blessing, because then you focus all of your effort and attention to that.
Well, it takes a lot more thought and planning into, you obviously found your way, but it took all of those things, and like, how do I be involved with all these things, and what does that position look like? And a lot of people just go, I love football, I want to be a pro football player, and then they grow to be 5'8" and not that built, and they're like, those aren't in the cards. But they don't think outside of like, well, I could be a physical trainer, and I could be the best physical trainer ever, and then I work with a team, and now I'm basically on the team, and I travel with my NFL team, and now I'm involved in the thing that I'm passionate about. That takes a lot more skill, work, and thought through than just, I'm good at this, it's my passion, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I mean, most of us are in a position where you have to parlay something related. It's very few, that very small amount, that are going to get actually paid doing the sports we love or the activities we love. Most of us is just going to be a passion or a hobby, whether it's fishing or skating or playing ball or whatever that is. These things we really love, try to integrate them into your life and try to have them involved in something, that makes sense, and that's obviously one. But I think there's also something too where, perhaps for me, a lot of the fun is getting better at something, right? Like seeing those, like having something you suck at and then the process of getting better. But when you stick with one thing, the gains start coming really slow. Like they come fast at first, like you ramp up and you're like able to do most of the cool shit, or like at least most of the regular cool shit. But then to get from there to like the really cool shit, I mean, that's just pain and sweat and hours.
Totally. I mean, it happens with everybody and everything. It is that jump, it's that next leap. I can ride a BMX bike, but I can kind of do all the things that I can do until taking that next step. And that next step is like using your face as a hand, flipping over the bars, like just like proper slams.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I can't tail whip, because if I tail whip, like, that's a real slam coming, and I can't bar spin because those are real slams that happen once you throw the bars.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it's like, to get to that next step, it takes everything you have to be diving in on that one sport.
Right.
I'm gonna get better. So
it's interesting though, with skaters, it seems like you guys are more apt to being kind of polysport athletes. Like the skaters I know can also shred on a snowboard, usually have their way around, bike or some other things as well. Is that just the culture, or is that some kind of proprioceptor conditioning and balance training that you think lends, or some combination of both?
You know what? It might be some combination of both. I had never really thought about it. I don't know if it's the fact that we tried everything before, or whether it's just that you kind of get a sense of the physics of things through skating and the different types of stuff that you may skate. Because I didn't surf before I skated, and now it's like I can't paddle. Shoulder mobility is terrible.
We're working on that.
We're working on it. Shoulder mobility thus far has been poor, but if I can get on my feet, I'm good.
Yeah, right.
I'm good.
Right.
I'm fine. And I've never surfed before, so I think it does have to do with just the receptors and just knowing the physics of what to expect, thinking that through and using your eyes and just breaking it down. Like, okay, well, I mean, wave's going to go like this. It's at this angle. It's going to be about this steep. I need to be about here on the board.
I mean, dropping into a ramp is probably, again,
Very
not that dissimilar to dropping into a wave. The way you got to keep your balance.
Except a wave is a lot steep. Like, waves are steeper than you'd expect.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty impressive after you try to surf one time that you know, you kind of get sick of seeing dudes get barreled until you've surfed and you know how hard it is to get barreled.
Yeah.
And then you're like, whoa, I don't know if I'll ever see the inside of that.
Yeah. The waves that I surf are more like lumps, so they're not very steep. So, I mean, I can't really get my board that much down. It just kind of gets pushed along straight.
Yeah. That's nice though, man. That's a good feeling.
It's interesting. You know, I did a lot of like straightforward stuff. Like, you know, back when I was growing up, water skiing was still a thing. Nobody fucking water skis, but
Ew.
you know, right? It's so gross. Water skiing and knee boarding. You remember knee boarding? What a terrible idea that was.
Idea.
The horrible idea. But anyways, that was the shit back when I was like real young.
Nice.
And so I got good at that. So useless. And then regular skiing too, you know, which I actually still like regular skiing.
I back regular skiing.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
I like regular skiing a lot. But water skiing is heinous.
It's awful. I mean, it's like some old Go-Go's video, vacation video.
I wonder if it'll make a comeback though. Maybe like retro water skiing will be like,
it'll be like the next big thing. Yeah. You know, it's like reclaimed wood, water skiing.
Just all the hipsters are just water skiing, like
kombucha,
wake surfing, lame.
Just the next thing.
I got my skis. They're from the 90s originals.
Oh, you still wakeboard?
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. But anyways, my balance, like going forward like that, solid. And then the minute I tried to like snowboard, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Oh,
you know,
crazy.
that side to side balance. It didn't translate for me at all.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how, like, I guess that just the way that my brain worked and the memory worked, anything going forward, fine.
Yeah.
No worries. Anything as soon as I turn to the side, not the same.
Yeah,
know?
that's really interesting.
So I had to like relearn that. Really?
Yeah, I'm the other way. It's like roller skates, like old school, like four-wheel roller skates. So difficult because I'm facing forward. It's like, but sideways, I feel like I've got a lot more motion. Yeah. And I bet if you opened up your front shoulder and faced forward a little bit more with your feet sideways, I bet it would change the whole game for you.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I just get mad concussions when I snowboard all the time. It's just like
that cartwheel.
Yeah, just straight. Well, the flat parts are the motherfucker, right? You catch that edge in the flat parts, and you just whip around. Shadoonsh!
Yeah, I separated my shoulder on one of those things before. Just caught toe side edge and just throws you on top of your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the worst.
That's the worst.
But you can't like speed check because then you're gonna stop.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you're barreling down the flat stretch, which is like the iciest, hardest part of the mountain. Like, I'm gonna get speed.
You start feeling the snow like creep up on an edge, and creep up on the other edge. Like,
yeah, I have respect for the people who ride those boards well. That's all. It looks like fun, but on a powder day though, I mean, fuck.
Oh, it's on.
Snowboarding on a powder day, it's one of the great pleasures of life.
It really is, man. But when you get sunk, you're like digging out. It takes a minute. I mean, you get a full shoulder workout trying to like grab trees and pull yourself up out of like, you got 3 feet of snow on top of your board like a shovel.
I was skiing with my friend Bodie Miller. He just lifts the ropes. He knows all the people on the mountains, obviously in Colorado. And so they let him do whatever the fuck he wants. He lifts this rope and we go down this territory. And I'm not a great powder skier. I'm a good like regular skier, pack or kind of moguls or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was going and I just kind of got a little too forward or whatever. And my skis just started to bury themselves into the snow. And I went full gopher, like full avalanche gopher into the snowpack. I was like up to my neck. Like, what the fuck do I do here? And fortunately it was really light. So I just had to like clear myself out. And I like,
and then you shot the flare. That's when you shot the flare off.
Yeah. Flare!
Help!
Ski patrol! Oh man,
what a good movie that was.
Yeah. So there's some moments in your career that were kind of definitive. There's, I was doing a little research. There was a trick that you pulled that had never been done before, right? Wasn't there like a never been done kind of series trick that you did?
Yeah. We actually did a full thing of never been done's. Like had a warehouse, built a couple ramps, and then it was on me to just think of stuff that I've never seen done and then try to break it down and make that happen. It was basically a hurt locker. It was like a place to go. Sure. It was a place to go to lose your mind all alone, secret warehouse, just you and a filmer. Like, man, that was a mentally trying time.
Yeah. So you build this thing out. You know that you got some work cut out for you. You had a vague idea of some of the shit you were going to try and pull off.
Yeah.
And then tell me about it. How'd it go?
Dude, it actually went really well after a while. You know, I tried to plan it. You know, now that I've done it for so long, it was planning that made the difference. It was trying these tricks, thinking about which ones were harder than other ones, and then going in to try to get a win, and then try that harder move after you're already warmed up. You already have a win under your belt. You feel that confidence, and now you try that hard one. And it doesn't matter if you really make it yet, but you got that process underway after already having a win from the other trick. And so I would do that, and then it would kind of ice break for that trick for the next time I would go. And so it went really well. I was in there one day though, like by myself, just skating, like my daughter, and I brought my dog. I was skating around, and it's like I'm one of two people with keys, and I fall so crazy landing with my arm behind my back and stuff. I fully thought for a second, like, this is where I break my elbow. Like, as I'm in the air, like, this is gonna happen, and through my head, I'm like, I'm gonna have to get my daughter, her scooter, my dog, all my stuff in a car outside of this warehouse, like, with one arm, and
then you're thinking that while in the air.
Yeah, while in the air, it all cuts through before
it's
I hit
amazing
the ground.
how time slows the fuck down in that situation.
Yeah, and in that time you can't do anything. You can't move. You can't move.
But you figured a bunch of stuff out. Like,
totally.
Well, I got about 20 yards to my keys, and I'm going to try not to cry because my daughter's going to get...
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're just in the air with your arm pinned behind your back.
And this stuff happens all the time, too. I went to the skate park with my son, and like, oh, we're just going to skate around with some friends, whatever. Like, board flies up, breaks my nose. Like, just... And I'm like, I have to drive. I'm the one that drives now with a broken nose and like blood everywhere. Like, kid in the back, like grab all the stuff. Like, luckily my son like helped me like grab the boards and like, here's your keys. Like, help me out. But yeah, that stuff happens, man.
Yeah. What's some of the gnarliest falls and crashes that you've taken?
When I've done, there's been some lame ones, like some pretty lame ones, but if I have to go off the top of my head, I hit my face when I was in 7th grade off a launch ramp. Tried this trick all alone and just landed on my board, but board shot out, bringing my feet up like so fast. It was just like a baseball bat, just smashed my face on the ground, knocked out my teeth, and fully got knocked out. I didn't know until like probably a couple weeks ago. I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I was knocked out. Knocked out my teeth, and it's like 7th grade, so you have like 2 months of dental surgery after that. I've flown into...
And your mom was just shaking her head like,
oh, just like,
told you.
What did you do? And I knocked him out like the next year too. Like next year I knocked him out again. One time I ollied up this ledge to jump over a gap onto another ledge and just hung my back truck on the first ledge going full speed, just ollied up, didn't ollie high enough, hit it, flew like Superman again, but this time just eyebrow first into the edge of the other ledge.
Oh shit. Full
body behind me, no hands, just like buckled, and it was underneath my eyebrow, so like basically eye socket, and split my eye, had like raccoon face paint for a week. That was a rough one.
Oh man,
dude, they get
these were like pre-days of cell phone cameras. So otherwise, you could have fully found yourself on ridiculousness.
Oh my god, none of that's documented too. It's just like these terrible things that have happened in my account of them happening.
Right.
That's
just
it.
in the memory that you hold in your head, and
right,
somewhere in the scar tissue on your body if you dig around a little bit.
Totally. And that front eyebrow, like, I mean, a lot of people have split their eyebrow, but my front eyebrow is like, I feel like I'm gonna have like a sagging eyebrow on one side from just splitting that thing all the time.
How conscious of flow state are you? like, is it something you try to like hack? Is it something that you try to get yourself into that kind of flow state? Is that, I mean, you kind of mentioned it by getting that early win first, right? Because when you're talking about flow state, that state where it's actually associated with the brainwave pattern drop, where you're dropping into that more alpha state and everything seems like you're fully within your body. Everything's fluid. Your mind's not thinking extraneous thoughts, something that Kotler, some of the other researchers talk about, this classic flow state example. How much, and there's all the criteria. The stakes have to be high. It has to involve body, mind, all these things, which is totally in line with skating. But there's ways that you can kind of try and hack that, or is it just something that you get into?
A little of both, but it's definitely something I try to get into. Sometimes you'll just fall into it. It'll just happen. One of those days where you wake up and you just feel so good. Like you've got endless amount of energy. Your brain is just firing extra fast, like just computing everything that comes at it almost in slow motion. And those days, you've got it. That's it. And then on the other days, you try to fake it till you make it with that. You know that feeling and you try to get it. You try to get it in your chest. You try to get it in your brain, that you find that win, you find that feeling. And what I do is I'll go into a contest situation or just a skate park, for instance, just walk in and I have to think about a previous win in my chest, feel that feeling of that time, of that confidence, of just that build up. I have to feel that. And then I try to grow from there and try to physically see everything, like everything shrinks. All the wedges, all the handrails, all the things are small and I'm huge. That's when you can see it like that, you're good. Like you've got it.
That's really it's really interesting because the visualization process, the key to any good visualization is not just running the pictures in your head, it's anchoring the emotions to that visualization. So I'm working with the fighter how to visualize the fight. It's not just seeing themselves hit him, it's feeling what it feels like to hit somebody, feeling what it feels like when you just knocked him down, that initial shock and rush of energy and the drive to go pounce on him. How does that feel? How does it feel to get your hand raised at the end, right? Anchor that. But for you, it seems like you're doing the same thing, but you're anchoring it to previous success, some actual real event. So summoning that same state, and then that idea of shrinking all of the handrails and shrinking all of the things. I mean, that's a really cool technique. I mean, I can imagine that if you're worried about public speaking, you could do the same thing. You could imagine yourself super big and you're speaking to a pint-sized, Smurf-sized audience where everybody Smurfs and you're really big. Or if you're I remember when I was playing basketball, when I really felt in the zone, it felt like I was shooting into an ocean. Like the hoop was like the size, it was like a swimming pool. Like I couldn't
you had
miss
this itty bitty ball.
Yeah, like a little ball, like a ping pong ball into the giantest beer pong swimming pool of all time. And I think so that's a cool way to visualize it. And I think anybody could use that technique whenever you're needing to perform. Make yourself big, make that thing small, and anchor yourself to positive emotion, either about the current event or use some previous event.
Totally. I mean, feeling that feeling definitely helps. But I mean, the visualization of everything being small, it takes away that edge, that fear, because everything's small. And that's actually a technique that I developed from hearing stories from my hothead friends with like a super temper that got in fights all the time. Like they couldn't control their temper and they felt like the person was shrinking and they were just getting bigger and bigger as they got more angry. And I was like, dude, that is genius. And that's where it came from, where I was like, oh, dude, if I saw all these things as small and like actually, fooled my brain into seeing these things as little, it'd be so much easier.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. So that's pretty much the protocol then. Like when you have a big, championship event or something like that, that's pretty much the protocol. You start running through that.
Yeah.
What's your, what other preparation techniques do you use before to get yourself physically and mentally ready?
Well, dude, I definitely listen to my body as far as what I should eat. It'll tell you. Like, it'll tell you straight up, like, you need steak, or you need chicken, or you need broccoli, or you like, it'll tell you exactly what you want. Like, you read over the menu and you know, like, that's it. That's the one. And there's a lot of that beforehand, the night before and stuff like that. You try to get as good a rest as you can. My thing is, I want to have a good time, because if I'm just thinking about the contest the whole time, it's terrible for me.
Sure.
I don't want to build up this thing and then it not. I mean, as much work as you put into it, you may still get 12th.
Yeah.
Still. And so I don't want to ruin the entire time that I have thinking about this thing and then end up in 12th. I just want to have a good time, and I want to hang out and have a great time, and then I go there and I do my thing.
And then there's really no loss.
Exactly.
Right? Because you went out, you had a great time.
Yeah, I had a win.
And you're going to perform better anyway. So it's not like,
totally.
So you go in that, it's truly a win-win. You'll perform better and you're going to have fun.
Exactly.
So yeah, absolutely. Like getting in there, being present, having fun. When the pressure gets too great, and you talked, again, I talked to a lot of fighters, but you talk to fighters or other athletes who are performing, it's almost like they watch themselves in a dream. It was like the pressure was so great, they almost disassociated from the moment.
Yeah.
Stepped outside of the present moment. It's like the stakes are too fucking high. And you'll talk to him like, how was the fight? He's like, man, it was like I was watching myself fight. Like I wasn't really there. And I think that's a factor of having that pressure so high. It's a defense mechanism. The defense mechanism is to disassociate. Same as a kid would do.
Get out of this, loser.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this situation sucks. Let's go back, hide. Same as like a kid would do when their parents are fighting. Like if a kid's around and the parents are fighting, there's so much stress and anxiety in the environment. Obviously completely different situation, but you'll kind of disassociate from the moment.
Totally.
Which is absolutely the opposite of how you're going to perform well.
Totally.
You want to drive yourself straight into that present moment.
Yep.
Breathe, feel everything, feel what the breeze feels like, feel what the temperature is, and just fucking have fun. When people are fucking killing it, doesn't matter if it's Michael Jordan about to hit that game-winning shot, or if it's, all the great champions, you see that little smile creep up. You see that, like, yeah, all right. Then you know that they're in it. I was watching my homie Cody No Love. You follow fighting, right? You watch Cody fight Dominic Cruz? Mm-hmm. In that fight, as soon as I saw Cody bust that first smile in there, I was like, uh-oh, Dom, you're fucked, my friend. Because we had talked about that, and getting him in that kind of mental flow state where he was relaxed in the present moment, having fun. Yeah. And the smile was that key. Like, you get in there, not the cocky smile, like trying to show him something, but that real, like, oh, all right, I'm here.
Yeah, like this is where I should be.
Exactly.
This is what I'm good at. This is where I should be. I earned this.
Yeah.
And I'm having a good time doing what I'm good at. And you may get knocked out either way.
Yeah.
So why not go out with a smile? Why not go out stoked to be there rather than like, oh man, I don't know about this, and then you get knocked out. And
or
I knew I shouldn't have been in there.
Or over angry, right? I'm gonna kill you. I'm such a warrior. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, you're a headhunter then.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just throwing bombs that are all slow, and Dom would just eats anybody up who goes that way. But you get in there with that smile, start having fun, and I haven't seen anybody have more fun than Cody did that day in the ring.
Such a cool move.
Such a cool move. Just doing the jig, pulls his fake gun out of his tattoo gun out of his weight belt, shoots his feet, and does a dance like he's fucking Elmer Fudd. Like, who thinks about doing that except if you're just in the present moment and you're just fucking living it?
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Dom was just getting more and more mad, and that emotion was driving him outside of the present moment into his head. And if you're a fighter, you're in your head, you're dead. It's something that Anthony Robbins says about anybody in any situation, but you're in your head, you're dead.
It's pretty true, man. It's pretty true. Yeah. And I mean, you show up to the event that you have to perform at, and the odds are all over the place. You could be whatever. You could end up in last place, and if you're not having a good time, you're totally gonna end up in last place.
Yeah,
totally.
And if you're terrified of being in last place, that's the fear is something of a belief. like a fear is a belief. A fear is a belief in the likelihood of a negative event happening.
Yeah.
And the more you obsess on that fear, I'm terrified of being last, all you're thinking about is last place.
Totally.
And it's some form of belief. And so you have just more headwind to counteract. You have a positive belief, which is, I'm here, I deserve to be here, and I can do it. And you have a negative belief being expressed as your fear. So you're really working against yourself.
Well, what happens too is I'll show up to these events and it'll be all these guys are ripping, right? And I look around and I see a trick out of Luan on my left. I see a trick out of Nigel on my right. And then it's like Malto did a trick in the center. P-Rod does a trick over there. And I'm seeing all these tricks happen, them all be good and different and rad. And they almost turn into one big juggernaut where it's like everybody can do everything. And then you start to panic because you're like, I only have these and I saw all these tricks. Yeah. But it's like, if you have a level head, you're like, yes, that person had that trick and that person had that trick. No, they didn't have all those tricks.
Right.
It's like you have these, they have those, and that's it. And it's not like there's some crazy juggernaut out there that does every single trick and you're just screwed.
Yeah. It's kind of like Pressfield wrote a book called Swing Your Authentic Swing, talking about like what your shit is. Like, do your shit. And I think if you get too caught up trying to do someone else's shit, like if you're on the golf course and someone has a monster drive and that's not really your game, and you're like, oh man, he's got a monster drive. I got to fucking crank it up a little bit. I got to put my hips into this one a little bit more. Good luck. You're going to just duff it or slice it or hard. Power hook it into the bushes, Dude, hunt some squirrels with it.
I know all about
that. I do too. But yeah, you just got to stick with what your thing is,
totally,
and know what that. And shit, it's the same with like dating and relationships. Swing your authentic swing. Be you to the most. Don't try to be somebody else. Your girl hooks up with some fucking monster powerlifter guy. Like, don't think that you need to become a monster powerlifter to get her interest. Like,
totally.
Be you to the fullest extent.
Eventually, you're gonna have to be you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The entire time that you're not you, the you that you're portraying sucks.
It's the worst.
Sucks. It totally
People
sucks.
can smell it. It's like a foul odor that's surrounding you. This cloud of falseness. Like, what? What is this person?
Well, it takes a lot of energy too to keep up with the weird lie that you're trying to portray rather than just being yourself. When you can actually focus on other shit because you're just being me.
Yeah.
And so also you attract the people you want to when you're yourself. If you be yourself, the people that appreciate that, you'd actually get along with.
Yeah.
Rather than like you're trying to play this role and then you're like, you end up hanging out with people and you're like what? How did I end up here?
How did I get here?
Yeah. Oh man. I can't say that.
Why am I drinking all these protein shakes? Shooting steroids in the back of the Gold's Gym.
Are you sure I'm not going to get disqualified for this?
I want to circle back to something else you said because I think it's really important. You say you use your intuition in preparing for your events and what you eat. And listen to your body. And that's an art that we've really lost. And it's something I talk about all the time. Like, it's good to do the research on, the nutritional principles, but so many people can get so caught up in what they've heard and what they said that they fail to actually listen to their body. Like, what does your body want? How does it feel? And what's the difference between what your body really wants and what your cravings and your emotional desires are?
Totally.
Like, what is that force of resistance and what's the force of assistance that's coming from your body?
Dude, that's a really good point. I mean, you're right. We get confused a lot. Yeah. And our eyes will tell us something looks better than the other thing, and it's almost like before you looked at the menu what you wanted. Mm-hmm. Don't let the pictures fool you. Yeah. It's like you knew, and a lot of people don't even know what the taste is.
You see those buffalo wings with that sauce that's just cooked on right.
It's gonna be right.
That cold.
I mean, it's perfectly placed. It's beautiful.
That cool ranch with the perfectly moisted celeries there that are gonna be there. It's tough to resist because you start smelling that. That little tingly that comes in the back of your nose with the good buffalo sauce.
Yeah, like the soda that comes out is gonna have ice cubes dropping into it from a great height and it's splashing everywhere. Just like, wow. That is thirst quenching.
Yeah.
But your eyes become hungry. And I think a lot of times, I mean, everybody knows it's more expensive to buy real food now than it is to buy fake food. And how did we get there?
Yeah.
Where we can grow it in the ground for real, but it's cheaper if we modify it and grow a whole lot of it. And so when you eat actual good products, quality breads, quality meats, quality like proteins and starches, and you eat the good stuff, you know it. Like, you know that taste. And if you don't know that taste, it's going to be pretty hard for you to identify what your body wants.
Yeah. And it's not only the foods, it's how it's prepared too. You know, like even some places, like there's a vegetarian restaurant here in town, and in my mind, I think like this is a healthy choice. But every time I would eat there, I just wouldn't feel good, you know? And then I started to like look into, started asking them some questions like, well, what oil are you using to, saute your vegetables in? And just, it was like canola oil and like weird, like making like
Marzipan.
Weird. Yeah, exactly. Like weird choices. Whereas like at home, it's all extra virgin olive or like grass-fed butter, or these, these choices of how you cook it. And then making sure that you don't overheat it so it reaches its smoke point and then the fat turns and oxidizes and becomes bad for you. Like there's so many different levels of what is actually going to feel good. But the key thing is, listen to your body and sort out those signals. And I think that's an art. Just intuition itself is almost like a lost art.
Yeah.
So do you extend that not only with food, but is intuition like a real guiding force for you in making all kinds of decisions?
I think most of my decisions are through intuition. I follow my gut a lot. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's ADD, maybe it's just how I've always done it. But when stuff feels right and when things feel off. And people call that street smarts. Or like, oh yeah, I'm not really book smart, but I got street smarts. It's like, you have a intuition, you have gut. You have your gut intuition.
That means to me that you know where to buy drugs if you're in a new city. that's what street smart is.
And you'll figure it out. It's that you have that intuition of like, this is not the place to hang out. I can feel the tension in this bar and I'm trying to go out and have a good time, but you can cut the air with a knife. Like, I feel the tension. The crowd here is just the type that wants to pick a fight. Yeah. I'm just going to move on to another bar. You know, it's things like that, and trust in your gut. That's pretty much it. That's the intuition.
There's just the problem is that you got to be able to distinguish. Again, it's that same thing, the helpful voice from that other voice, that other fucking voice of resistance. It's just kind of trying to throw you into some shit, to see how you deal with it, and that voice, it's like, this bar is probably not the right bar. And then that other voice, like, don't be a fucking pussy.
Totally.
Like that other one that's coming from your ego and trying to say like, if I leave this bar, I'll think less of myself in some different. So it comes out in this voice that's telling you the wrong thing to do. Yeah. And I think just the more we can separate those two and be like an honest observer of these counter forces in our mind.
Well, I feel like what you just said too it's that thing's not always a bad plan. That the like, don't be a pussy is actually sometimes a good helping hand, but seeing the honest middle ground is the best place to be.
Yeah, because sometimes you are being a pussy.
Sometimes you are. Sometimes you're just being like, or you're just not, you're not assertive enough, or you just don't have the confidence enough at that moment to like deal with the fact like, yeah, wait, I'm looking around. Yeah, I can feel the tension, but like, really? Like, now that I'm looking at it, honestly, I have nothing to be worried about.
Right.
Like, even if push comes to shove, I have nothing to be worried about in this bar.
Right.
And like, that type of assessment is a good honest middle. So
I wrote a blog article a long time ago, and it was called "Party with Your Third Eye Open." And
good name.
And I actually still kind of hold to that, where it's like, I love going out and partying. I used to love it a lot more. Don't do it as much now, but I still like to cut loose. But there's always some part of me that maintains a level of awareness, because when you lose that certain like access to your intuition, access to observation of what's going on, then that's when the shit happens. Like
totally.
My buddies, you know, I have friends with a bunch of fighters and different people. My buddies have gotten in 40, 50, 60, I don't know how many street fights in my close clique. But I've never been there for a single one save one, which has jumped up out of the blue. And my fiance at the time got smashed head first into a car window before I could even see what was happening, right? So total random thing. But it's because I can see it early and head it off. And sometimes it's a show of like, you really don't want to do this, you know, and then you can diffuse it that way. And sometimes it's like, hey, man, it's all good. We'll leave. But whatever it is, I can see it early enough. Like I have that ability because I'm always aware. Whereas, you know, other buddies are not partying with their third eye open, just partying completely it's shut. It's not even shut. It's just squinting shut. Like
all eyes are squinting.
All eyes are squinting.
There's one eye open, and
and it's their asshole.
Challenge eye. It's just a challenge eye.
Just the stink eye.
Yeah, it's
just that fuck you.
The dirty, hairy eyeball everywhere.
Yeah, and in that case, you're subject to all sorts of different shit that can go wrong.
Totally. I mean, and if you want to cut loose, to straight up close all the eyes, your house is a pretty great place with like your closest of friends. Right. Only lock the doors. We're getting shit faced.
And that's definitely the place that I have the most fun, because then I can just totally relax it. Totally. Like there's no need to keep that kind of guard dog. Like I can totally give it the steak and tell it to go fucking take a hike.
Yeah, you just get to be you too. Just
100%.
like I'm being so honest here.
Yeah.
That it's like almost painful.
Yeah. But the problem is because everybody who goes out with me knows that I'm watching shit. They're just like, fucking Aub's got it.
Oh, yeah.
Aub's got it for sure. Yeah. Let's get some more shots. More shot. All the drugs, all the shots. Bring them over here. Aub's got this shit covered. Nothing bad happens when we're out with him.
Thank good you're there.
And I'm like, this sucks. This is the worst.
Totally sucks.
Like, where's my turn? Why doesn't somebody else fucking open their eyes?
You're just always the DD somehow.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah, exactly. The designated eyeball.
Oh. That's a tough position.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Long hard talk with the friends.
Yeah, for real.
Bring them in now.
And there's that enjoyment of the experience too. Like it's weird, those compulsive forces that take us beyond the enjoyment of the experience. Like there's a certain level of drunkenness where you remember and you have fun. A certain level of intoxication where you don't remember, and who knows if it was fun or not because you're like literally blacked out.
Totally. I am so damn lucky that I never get there. Before that happens, I'll actually be throwing up and actually blacked out on the ground.
I can't black out. Like I literally can't black out from alcohol. It's like a weird superpower.
Yeah, I'm always here. I'm always here. It's like if I'm not here, I'm passed out next to a toilet, completely out. I'm never that guy whose brain is not home, but his body's out doing stuff.
Zombieing around. What did I do? I've never had the what did I do?
I don't know where I went last night, but I don't have my shoes. My feet are filthy.
Yeah.
Like
I was shopping in Walmart. Like what was I doing?
Totally. Yeah. Like
piecing it together.
God for that.
Yeah, I remember my 21st birthday. I was intending to drink 21 shots, and
that's a terrible plan.
And it was a terrible plan already. But my friends, seeing that I was well on pace for overshooting the 21 shots, started miscounting on purpose and writing some of my shots on the back. So I ended up the night with like 28 shots or something like that. Remember everything. I was doing weird things, granted. Like I took a shower. I was like drinking the shower water because I couldn't get to the sink to drink the water, and like throwing out. And then I went to go. I wasn't at my house, so I was like, man, I'm cold and I got to put some clothes on and go to bed. So I just put a shirt on, just shirt cocked my way to one of my fraternity brothers' beds.
Nothing's funnier though than that.
Yeah.
Like it's shirt, no pants.
No pants. Just wandering like, God, I just need this bed.
Funny as hell when a dude does it. Sexy when a chick does it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's a weird dichotomy where it's sexy if a girl does it when a guy does it.
It's just funny.
It's just funny.
It's just funny.
Like no chick is getting turned on, but they will laugh.
No chicks ever. Just naked dudes don't turn on chicks anyway.
No. But I mean, full naked can be like, ooh, that's interesting. But shirt cocking? Nah.
No, shirt cocking is just like, this is a pile. But like shirt off changing oil.
Yeah.
That's a
right.
hot guy.
Shirt off, jeans on. You got a winner.
Totally. Then you have a winner cleaning his hands off after doing some man shit that totally benefits you, so that you didn't have to go to Jiffy Lube. Just solid. That's a man. Yeah, that's a hero.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, I had alcohol poisoning for 2 days, but I still remember all the moments there. It's a weird thing about my brain. It doesn't like to shut up. Although I will say the one time I did, only time in my life I blacked out was that street fight I got into. And I think it was just a matter of my adrenaline getting so high that I had like an adrenal shut off. Like I just, my short-term memory was not recording because my brain was just all pure adrenaline.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I've heard it from other like soldiers and people in these like really intense situations where like, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. I'm covered in blood and it's not mine.
The full werewolf effect.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I remember choking somebody. I'm covered in blood. That's not mine. I hope I didn't kill anyone.
That happened to a buddy of mine. That was actually the Street Fighter night. So somebody dressed up as Sagat, right? Which is the hand wraps, the big scar across the chest, the eye patch, and he was out. We're all out, and he got separated. He met this chick, went down this path, and ended up, blacked out. Woke up, still had his hand wraps on, and his hand wraps were covered in blood. And he's staying in this new person's house, and there's this chick passed out in the bed next to him. And so he's like piecing it together. No, absolutely no memory. Looks at the hand wraps. Hand wraps are all bloody. He's like, "What the fuck?" Because he was a fighter too. He's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And then like looks at her, and she looks like she's sleeping somewhat peacefully,
alive.
Like breathing well, like she's fine. And then he like opens the sheets, and the sheets are just covered in blood. And so he's still a little like, curious.
Sweet.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I got it. I got it.
Yeah, I don't know if he put it together even then yet. But then she wakes up. She's like, "Oh, sorry, I was on my period yesterday." He's like, "All right."
He's like, "I've never been so stoked for that."
Yeah, huge win.
Yeah, big win. Big win for Sagat.
Sagat comes out ahead. Yes,
dude. By the way, those outfits were absolutely inspiring.
I know. Those were two of our best. The Thundercats here was particularly strong. We had full like body airbrush painting and costume design.
Well, you had the good thought of we'll get our bodies painted. I've been thinking I wanted to do Lion-O for years now, and I'm just like, how am I going to pull this off? Like I haven't figured it out, and you guys figured it out.
Yeah,
nailed it.
Good airbrusher.
Yeah,
that'll get the job done.
So smart.
We were talking about it earlier. You're big into some of that, some of that retro stuff of our generation.
I love it.
Your favorite? Tell us about your favorite skateboard that you're currently riding. So I thought that was rad.
Yeah, I have a Nintendo Blaster board, duck hunt gun. I would just ride that thing nonstop. The company series was a bunch of guns, and they're like, like Jocelyn has a musket, like this dude has an Uzi. Like, what do you want? And I was like, I want the duck hunt gun. And it just made sense for me. Like, I don't need a gun. I want that gun. And so it came out with it, and all the boards like have on the top or like part of the logo has a bullet hole in it. And mine is just like a pixelated blast when you miss the duck.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's sick, man. I just kind of like to design boards like that. And I just love that stuff. Just all the stuff that hit me below the belt before you had seen everything, Right. Before you were like a grown up, like all these things that you see them again for the first time in a long time. And it just brings this like joy where you just like a smell, you like time travel back to this moment. Like I remember all these things, like things come into color almost.
Yeah.
And I love it. So I'm pretty retro in that aspect. I love those old toys. I wear CK1. I love it.
Cool Water.
Dude, love Cool Water.
Cool Water.
Love Cool Water.
Oh man, Cool Water hit the scene hard.
Dude, it hit it hard. Everybody would just overspray before high school. You'd get in a car with a bunch of dudes on the way to school, and it was just like you were just getting gassed in there. Just a million different types of cologne to last the whole day long.
Unreal.
Yeah, you were spraying directly on the clothes.
All over.
Soak it in.
Yeah. You like that, ladies? And the ladies are doing the same with the perfume. Just you're fully nose blind.
Or just the Bed Bath
Maybe that
and
was all.
Beyond.
Maybe
Cucumber
that.
melon everywhere, everywhere.
Oh yeah, the bath spray.
Dude,
Yeah.
they would just have hand lotion that was just perfume. It was insane.
As I've gotten older, my tolerance for any type of perfume or cologne has gone significantly down.
Totally.
You know, like someone has strong perfume or cologne on, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Totally. Same with secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
Like now when you smell like a cigarette, you're like, who is smoking?
Right.
People still do that. Like you like lose your mind. Like, whoa, that smells terribly offensive, sir.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, you were like
everywhere.
driving in the car, the windows were up and people were smoking, and you're just like, that's normal.
Cigarettes have that particularly foul smell too. Like I smoke cigars and sometimes pipe tobacco, and maybe that's just because I smoke them, but I can smell that and be like, oh, someone's got a cigar in here. And it's
that's
like
totally because you smoke them.
That's totally is it?
Yeah, it totally is. Because dude, if you catch a cigar and you don't smoke cigars, you're like, who just?
That's even more
moly,
rude.
It's insane.
That's the rudest. It's like a big fat ass cigarette.
My
Fucking
homies
asshole.
smoke cigars. They love
That's
them.
funny. So I wonder. I guess people who smoke cigarettes come into a room that smells like cigarettes and like, oh yeah, it smells good. In here.
I'm home.
I'm home. Here I am.
I've arrived.
Right. That's it. That's definitely probably the trick. I guess that's why people were able to tolerate it. I know. Have you ever hooked up with? I mean, obviously you're married now, you have kids, but hooking up with a girl who smokes cigarettes?
Gross. So gross.
Because it's not only when you kiss them, like when you go down on them, they smell like cigarettes.
Oh,
like
really?
it permeates all of the flesh.
That's gross.
It's super gross.
Blah.
Yeah. It's not interesting.
Dude.
Spoils the experience.
It's just a battery. It's just a 9-volt.
Yeah.
It's funny that's distinctively cigarettes too, that it just traps. Like if you smoke outside in the cold weather, it just sucks the heat. It'll like suck onto your body, and then you walk in with this stale ashtray cigarette smell.
Yeah, right.
It's like immediately aged the smoke smell, and it's on your body. Like none of it released into the air. It all just stuck back on you like a whole bunch of like Velcro.
Totally.
So gross.
Yeah.
But that being said, the 90s were sick as shit. Everybody smoked in the 90s.
Yeah. Different
Everybody
times.
quit
Then.
in the 2000s.
It's going to be a weird future because, I think at that point, less and less actual smoke. Almost everything will be vape, at that point, if you're trying to get stuff in your body. And then even things like driving cars, like we only got another 20 years on driving your own car.
Totally. I saw the Tessie out there.
Yeah.
That thing's sweet.
It is, man. It's
Dude,
dope.
They are awesome.
But it's going to be illegal to drive your car because it's just going to be dangerous.
Well, also because we shouldn't trust people because people are stupid.
Right.
Like, for the most part. And it's like, it's terrible, but like we've lost the ability to judge things appropriately. There's too many of us. And like, my Tesla and your Tesla will be able to communicate to each other very well, better than communicate with all the other cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so a whole bunch of these cars that communicate together, traffic done.
Yeah.
Like traffic jams are moving smooth.
Yeah.
Because unless you're that one random car in the center, like, you got that 82 like Honda, you're just like, oh man.
Oh damn. That's what I wonder about the self-driving. I got it before they had the update with all the cameras that'll make it self-drive.
Oh, yeah.
2014. So eventually I'll have to update that. But what I worry about is like the merging process. Because I feel like some of these are like human judgment calls. Like there's the speed up merge, and then there's the slow down merge, and then there's sometimes it works like easily. But I wonder how the car judges that.
I wonder. I haven't had it merge for me. Like
it's sketchy, right?
Yeah, I don't run that. I'll like click it. I'll double click it if I'm like fading at the wheel. Like it's been like a 3-hour drive, and I'm almost home, but I'm still on the highway and I'm fading. I'm like, this thing's probably better. I'm staying awake, but I'm letting this thing drive for me.
Yeah.
Just in case I blink for too long. And but merging it's supposed to do it pretty sweet.
I bet they've figured out that problem. I can't be the only one to think about it. I just wonder how much masturbation is going to go up in the car when all the cars are self-driving.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tint the windows. like real dark.
All self-driving cars are going to come standard with tinted windows.
With really tinted windows.
Because otherwise those bus drivers are just going to be seeing the view.
Dude, tons of them. Anybody in an SUV is looking down at like
the horror. Jesus, why?
Dude, it's so funny. I just saw it. Like, we went to a skate spot in LA the other day, and as we were skating, we got kicked out. It was at a police station. Police came out. And he's like, "Hey, you guys can't skate here." And then looked over, and there was like a chick in a car parked at the police station smoking crack. And he's just like, walks over, arrested right there. Like, she's getting handcuffed. Meanwhile, we're like walking back to our cars. This chick's screaming, getting handcuffed. This dude walks past right in front of my car, just dick out, and and he's kneading it like he's just not a boner or anything. He's just grabbing this limp dick and just smashing it into his body with his hand while he's looking at me, just like eyeballing me.
Oh Jesus!
And it's like he's kneading it like it's like pizza dough. Like smashing it, and then his ass is out as he walks past. I'm just like,
just shirt cocking.
Yeah, it's basically shirt cocking. And I was just like, dude, LA is crazy.
Yeah. Did he get arrested too, or no? You just
no?
let him
He
go?
walks right past, just dick out.
You didn't go like, "Hey, officer, you might."
No, he walked right past the cops. Like, he walked past us, then past the cops, ass out,
the cops
dick
just
out,
like,
and the
fuck
cops
it.
are just like, whatever. There was a dude right next to him, like in a planter, eating grubs, like eating worms, like digging in the dirt.
You need to skate at different spots.
I was like,
there,
this
Chris.
spot is the sickest. Saw a dude skip through an intersection, like a green light, and then I see a dude skip, and then I see the van in front of me, like, and then they pull around him, and then as I pull around him, he stands there, and he basically just opens up his mouth and says nothing, like that at me with a huge smile, and just food flying out of his mouth like 2 feet in every direction, like it looked like he chewed up beef jerky. I was just like, dude, this is insane.
The best spot.
It was
the
amazing.
Best spot ever.
What a day.
Oh shit. What's next for you, man? What gets you fired up now? You've accomplished so much in the world of skating. You've got obviously, the money to take care of your family. What gets you fucking fired up?
That's a great question. It's continuing the learning process of skating, like you said. The fun is like in that instance of learning new things. I'm always trying to learn new things with skating. I haven't mastered it. There's still things like I'll come inside and I'll be like, I learned a new trick today, and my wife will be like, how is it possible that there are tricks that you haven't done? And I'm like, I honestly don't know, but somehow there are, and yeah, I did one today. And that gets me like super duper hyped.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like raising my kids. I love that. I love music. I love to hang out, like better my relationship with my wife, grow with our family, and always do things like that. Like, I really enjoy that. I really enjoy family life while also being able to go into the skate world, which is funny because there's like two lives.
Mm-hmm.
There's like I'm a family guy, and like we hang out with like other families and we do family stuff, and like family vacations with other families and things that are like really, really wholesome and rad. And then there's the like skate side where I'm like going out with like people that don't have any kids and like raging.
Yep.
And there's that line that I walk, and it's actually quite good. I think that you kind of need both.
Agreed.
Because people think that they have to be this thing, like, oh, you're a parent now, so you have to be, parents don't do that. But who says that? Because
Right.
I'm a parent and I do this.
It's weird what people think. I mean, I don't have kids yet, but I talk to a lot of parents, and the idea that you have to stop certain thing or be a certain way for your kids. Like your kids are going to model themselves after you, whether you like it or not. And so the most important thing is you show them that you're capable of love, that you're capable of happiness, and that you show that. Like, that's the most important thing. You got to get yourself right. You're not going to fool your kids. It's the same discussion.
No, you're not.
You can't fool your kids all the time. You got to fix the shit for real. You got to live a life that gets you fired up, keeps you inspired, keeps you passionate. You want kids that are fired up, inspired, passionate? Be fired up, inspired, and passionate. You want kids who are in a loving relationship? Doesn't matter who that relationship is. Show them what a loving relationship is.
Yeah, give them the scripts.
Yeah,
this is the script.
Yeah, this is what it looks like when my dad's in love. This is what it looks like when my mom's in love. If it's not with each other, that's okay. Just show them what love looks like,
and they'll follow it. Be candid with them. Show them conflict resolution.
Exactly.
If you don't show them how you resolve an argument, they'll never know.
Yeah.
You know, it's those things. It's holding them high, but very much being a person, because, like you said, you can't fool them. You can't pretend to be this role, because all that does is when you pretend to be some like even-keeled, non-emotional individual, they know it. They sniff it out. They feel that deception. They feel that disconnect, that I don't really know you. Thanks for the raising of me, but I don't really know you. And I don't want that with my kids. There's a BMXer out here in Texas. His name's Morgan Wade. And he had an interview, and he was talking about his, like, they said best friend, and he's like, my dad's my best friend, hang out with him every day. And you're like, dude, grown man, dad's his best friend, hangs out with him. I want that. How did he get that? Mm-hmm. You know, and I think you get that by being you, and also not sucking. So if you suck as you, don't be you. Fix you. Fix you.
Totally.
And then be you.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're a solid individual, just be yourself, man. Your kids, you're going to want to hang out with your kids a lot more when they're a solid individual that is similar to what you've done and what you've raised.
Yeah. I mean, people look at kids like they're these little idiots. When they're not little idiots, they're just young humans. Like they're young, full humans.
Yeah.
Not like little idiots. Because I said so, you little idiot. Like, no, wrong. Like, this is a full human. They're just learning stuff. They don't know as many things as you.
Yeah.
But they're full human. Like, treat them like a full human.
Totally. And they are very much, they know that gut feeling like really well. Yeah. They may do some dumb shit, but they know that gut feeling really well.
Yeah.
They do all the stuff that we did as kids. Actually, way less, because as parents nowadays, we are on them. Like, our parents couldn't afford that type of time with their children. Mm-hmm. So I'd be in the woods for 8 hours at a time. Like, I'm playing in the woods 8 hours straight up. I'm like on my kids. Like, if you're in the woods, like, what month is it? Are there rattlesnakes out? Like, let's be monitored, you know.
And kids have cell phones now too. So
totally.
Before you were out, if you were out, you were out in the wild.
Yeah, I catch my son like walking down in the woods. He's got like axes and stuff, and I'm just like, hey, what do you guys stop? You've got a BB gun over one shoulder, an axe over another shoulder. This is a recipe for disaster.
One at a time, son. One at a time.
Totally.
You're either going axing or you're going BB gunning.
Like, do you know? Like,
you don't need an axe
with both of those items.
I was obsessed with weapons when I was a kid too. It was just a funny.
They're so cool.
They're so cool.
That's why you have the swords.
It's true. It never really died.
I mean,
I think it's because it's a power equalizer too. You know, like initially, why were swords developed? Because really big, strong people were coming and smashing people, taking all the women, and some little small guy was like, "You won't do that when I get this really long sword."
Yeah,
you know,
this broadsword is gonna
even it out. And then eventually, the people got really good with swords, and people were like, "Fuck this sword stuff. I need a gun."
Yep.
And then people got good with guns, and then
it was a hand grenade. it was guns, and then it was cannons, and then it was hand grenades.
Now it's drones. Now the video gamers are gonna rule the world.
Totally. Now we're gonna start controlling the weather.
Yeah.
Start controlling the weather and just dropping acid. It's gonna be terrible.
Acid clouds?
Nah, just like sandstorm on your base camp.
Yeah.
Dude, I love weapons though. A good ninja star never gets scoffed at my house.
No doubt.
You know.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, if you make it over to the pad, we'll have a sick knife and hatchet throwing setup. You'll have to.
I love it.
Have to dig into.
I love that. I mean, dude, we do that at my house all the time. That's like the big draw to come to my house. Like,
exactly.
Over, it's like
everybody gets to the knife and hatches.
Yeah. We're gonna throw axes. You bet. We're gonna shoot BB guns for sure. Drive the Polaris. You got it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure hanging with you, brother.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I appreciate this, showing you kind of everything in this On It world, and hopefully you can find the things that vibe with you and help propel you to even greater heights.
Nice, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you want to let anybody know about? Any things that you're working on, or social handles, or anything like that?
Well, all my social handles are pretty simple. It's Chris Cobra Cole on all the platforms. And then this summer, we have all the contest series, Street League series, and starts March, I think March 3rd is Tampa Pro, which is the first contest of our season, basically. Starts out at Tampa, and then our contest season goes to like October. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the Street League stops will be fun, man. We got some international, we got some domestic, and they're always a good watch.
Dope.
Try to show up, be me.
Dope. Appreciate that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Peace.